Maybe third time's a charm.
So New York people, I want y'all to be quick like everybody else. Don't get bougie. Y'all be nice. Step up. Tell us your name, where you're from, and briefly, what's on your mind?
Blessed are the brief. All right. My name is Maurice. I'm from Brooklyn. And before I say what's on my mind, I just want to thank Reverend Al for bringing all of these people here together, right? All of these people in this room are God's people. So I want to say something from the good book. Now, the good book says that sometimes you have to put on your full armor of God so that you can stand firm against the schemes of the devil. Right? Now, all of these great panelists that we heard from today have been doing, or not today, that we've heard from during the course of this convention, have been helping you guys put on that spiritual armor of God, right? Like we heard from Kamala, we heard from Buttigieg, we heard from Lawrence, we heard from Morning Joe, a whole bunch of great speakers who told you about this administration in different ways to help you prepare, right? Now, when we're battling against this administration, we're not battling a battle against flesh and blood. This is a battle against principalities. This is a battle against authoritarianism. This is a battle against wickedness in high places. Now, what do you mean by that, Mo? I mean, we have the kind of president, right, that in a second decides to wage a war that none of us asked for and use $85 billion of our taxpayer monies to do that. All to hide from the fact that his name is in the Epstein files more than Jesus' name is in the Bible. Wickedness in high places. I'm talking about, we got the kind of president that takes SNAP benefits away from hungry mothers and their children so that he can give tax breaks to him and his rich buddies that are also in the Epstein files. I'm talking about wickedness in high places. I'm talking about, we have the kind of president that press a button and drop a missile, 2 missiles, on an all-girls school and kill 160-something little girls. Then hold a press conference to pray, I'm not even making this up, so that his missiles can kill more innocent people, right? It got so bad that he got a rebuke from the Pope, the actual Pope. We're talking about wickedness in high places. So people here at NAN, it is time to put on that spiritual armor of God so that we can guide ourselves against the spirit of this person in office, right? We need to go out, we need to vote, we need to stand strong like we did back in the 60s. And we need to take back our House. And we need to take back our Senate. Right? And then once we do, we make this lame duck president have no more power. Okay? No justice, no peace.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Everybody went home after that, huh?
No, everybody said hallelujah. Amen to the brother who shows hope. And see, now we have the person that we just heard from to tell us how we fight the system. Now, tell us about what happened this morning.
For those of you who didn't hear, the Supreme Court made their decision, and they decided that the maps in Louisiana are unconstitutional. So, in effect, that basically guts Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, and it creates another obstacle for us to accomplish what we want. It's estimated to cut our congressional caucus in like half. It's estimated to take away a lot of our voting rights. It's estimated to make black votes like 2/3 of what they are right now. And our votes will count less. They'll be able to draw us out of districts intentionally. And it makes it much harder to fight against any of that. So we have an uphill battle, but we saw this coming. I don't know who had faith in this particular conservative Supreme Court that Donald Trump handpicked. But I am definitely not somebody who did. So now we're going to have to rely a lot more on states to start changing their laws. The 10th Amendment reserves to the states any powers that the federal government do not expressly control. So they can change some of their voting laws to protect against voter disenfranchisement. And I anticipate that many of them will. But the problem is with these suspect states that necessitated the need, or that created the need for the Voting Rights Act in the first place, they're going to go right back to racism as usual. So we are going to see a lot more gerrymandering. We're going to see a lot more discrimination against black people. Don't be surprised if they start doing that marble counting stuff again. Like, okay, well, You have the right to vote, but first tell us how many marbles are in this jar, or competency tests, or different kind of things like that that they were doing to try and exclude black voters of color and minority voters. So yeah, we have a fight ahead of us, but our path has never been a clear one. Our road has never been one that's been sure, and yet we find a way out of no way all the time anyway. So we will find a way out of no way again.
Right. Graham, comment?
I was thinking of the votes. You need 100,000. I believe it's 100,000 people per district for a congressperson. We have people that live here that will not fill out the census reports. We have a lot of immigrants who are here and for years benefiting, but holding us back because they would not fill out the census every 10 years. You had prisons located, especially in New York State, in upstate regions where the population is relatively low. They build a prison or even a privatized prison. They take the head count of those guys in that institution and add them in with the general population to increase their congressional seat. That's what they were doing. Then on the backside, New York is not so, but in other states, if you're convicted of a felony, you can't vote. So we need to look at the full picture of the voting process.
But in New York, New York, you can vote as a felon.
You can vote. You can vote once you're off parole. Your right to vote is granted back to you. You see, but if you've paid your dues to the state, you're not on parole, as in Florida, you can't vote again. So when is it that your rights are restored to you? In Florida and in most countries and most other states. I think there are only 12 states wherein you can be convicted and vote after you get off of parole. So that's a large population of men and women who are not able to vote and have a say in the governmental structure of the state that they live in.
Sorry, before you finish
go ahead.
I just want to chime in on that little point right there. My biggest problem with that is that all of those states that say you can't vote for the president if you have a felony, right? Every single one of them, when they realize that we are faced with a presidential candidate who has 34 felonies and he's a rich, racist white guy, all of them said, okay, yes, we are willing to certify you as president. You can be the president in this state if you have 34 felonies. But those same states turned around and said these black and brown people who have felonies are not qualified to vote for who can be the president.
Right.
So this guy with 34 felonies can come out and be the president. But those same states, as hypocritical as they are, saying that certain people can't vote for the felon in chief. Right. Well, those states obviously need to change their laws. Once we get somebody who's not a far right leaning, unhinged president in office, we need to work on federal law that says you cannot be a president if you have felonies. Like, I think that's the least bare minimum that we could do, because everything that I guess our forefathers didn't anticipate that somebody so deplorable would be able to get into office. But everything we feared about a felon assuming power and doing only what's in his best interest and basically like ripping this country apart and just tearing out anything that he can get at the expense of the voters and the people. That's exactly why somebody who's morally reprehensible shouldn't be allowed to take office. Everything that they have as a norm, well, a felon wouldn't be able to get through. No, it's not the time now to rely on norms. Well, this has never happened, that will whatever. They need to change the laws to make sure that someone like him doesn't get in office again. This guy, as Looney Tunes as he is, he's getting up at 1 a.m, tweeting all kind of ridiculous stuff all throughout the night. Nobody's questioning him. He's going to press conferences now and just going on tangents about snakes in Peru when the press conference has nothing to do with that. Nobody's questioning the guy. He's trying to access the nuclear launch codes at this point. Somebody people in his administration had to gather quickly and stop him from accessing them. People think it's a game, but this one reprehensible person we put in here could change the world on a day when he gets up and decides, you know what, it's time to push the button or something, not understanding the concept of it. Because I think that he's gotten to a point where I don't even think that he can do the job anymore. He doesn't grasp the consequences that his decisions have. Is wake up one day and decide, well, let's go kidnap this leader of Venezuela. Wake up another day, oh, let's just bomb Iran. We're tough. They can't do anything to us. And then see this whole Strait of Hormuz situation play out that every other leader knew would happen, which was why they didn't do it in the first place. I mean, we're in a constitutional crisis right now where the 25th Amendment, we really need to start thinking about using it to remove this guy. I mean, it's in our best interest.
The Congress has been in absentia for many months. Mm-hmm. That's the best no-show, get-paid job I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen Hakeem in a minute, but when I get a chance to see him, I'm going to ask him, like, what in the world is going on? This guy Johnson, even he knows. See, here's another thing. People profess knowing God and all this stuff, but it's not magnified in what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They're saying things, but they're not doing anything. And back to the Congress, with what the Supreme Court said today, these people plan ahead. They're not looking at the here and now. They're looking ahead 5 years. They have 5-year plans, 7-year plans, 10-year plans. Even the Supreme Court, and Winston, I'm going to get this to you. There's a gentleman who was a preacher. He was with the evangelicals. Well, quote unquote evangelicals. I was raised evangelical. And these people are not evangelicals in any sense of the word. I don't have a heaven or hell to put them in, but they are not evangelicals. But this guy was a preacher, or is a preacher, but he worked with the far-right conservatives to set up the Supreme Court, to help determine who would be nominated for the Supreme Court. All of these far-right staunch
Heritage Foundation
presentations, he worked on them for 30 years. And now he's regretting what he did and the impact that it's having on people. He sees it now. Wow. But just as there was a guy, I'm going to send this stuff to you, Winston, and to you, Maurice. There's another guy, he's a billionaire. And going back, he too was financially crafting the Supreme Court.
Nice.
So you had the silent majority back in the 80s, you know, and different preachers that were backing this mantra, but they got it forward.
But why? But the problem is, we know all this. I can go back to tapes that we've done 20 years ago, in particular the one I did with Michael Hardy. And we talked about the gerrymandering and all that stuff back in 2004, just before Bush robbed us of the second election. And we went through over 9/11 inside job, Graham, and you know we're talking back then. But what's happened today is that our youth are turning on us and believing that they deserve this. And I just want to show you this item 2. Run item 2. Now this is a youth coming to convention. Now this is what we're up against.
Get going in one moment. Step up, tell us your name, and briefly, what's on your mind? Where's the niece?
Let me hold it. Hey, yo, as I look around this room, if you're 35 years old or younger, raise your hand. 4 people. So here's the thing. Y'all in trouble. Yesterday you had Al Green up here talking about we need a Secretary of Reconciliation, and then that's going to include what he said was reparations, which, by the way, wasn't reparations. Reparations is more than a check, but the very first thing it is a check. And come this year during the midterms and in 2028, if you don't have our check, you won't get no vote. No check, no vote. Yeah, I know that ain't what you want to hear, but that's what's happening. All of y'all in here, with all due respect, you're beautiful, but you're old. You're not talking to the youth. You don't know how to talk to the youth. You're trying to tell us what to do. We're not having it no more. So if you want our vote, you got to come with our paper. We're not scared of Trump. We're not scared of anybody. Biden is a racist. Trump is a racist. Kamala is a racist. And if you don't have our money, you don't get our vote. Yeah, not. Who are you? Oh, all right, yeah, so like I was saying, I'm going to land my plane right there, but the Democrats are no better than the Republicans. No check, no vote. Y'all take care. And somebody get my man a tissue. He need a tissue.
Thank you. First, let me clarify something. There are many young people that are part of the National Action Network. I happen to be one of them. I may look old, but I'm not old. And we have then actually brought young people from out of town to the convention under the leadership of Ashley Sharpton and Reverend Cassius Rudolph from HBCUs, and went on a whole college tour. So I don't want anybody to think that we are not supportive of our young people, because Rev was a young person one day that somebody looked out for to assist. And that's what NAN is about. Rev always says he's not anybody's talent agent, but he believes in helping those that need help. Because what does the Bible says? Your gift will make room for you. Not that someone will make room for you, but what? Your gift. So let your gift shine light. All right. Now y'all come on and be brief, because we don't have...
Now, there's a classic example of what we're up against. The Willie Lynch syndrome, young against old. And how did he get brainwashed to the point that he thinks like that? That he thinks that somebody's going to give him something, that he's not going to vote. He's making up a jive excuse not to vote, because he doesn't respect what old people have to say. The people who fought the battle for him to walk around and act like he's acting. Now, how do you think old people? I just turned 85. I survived with God in my heart. You know, that's the only reason I got here. I'm here through the blessing of God. But I never thought that black people would. I mean, when we were raised to be loving, and no matter what the problems were. We were always the better people, the spiritual people, people with love energy. We sang songs about love. In the deep, dark depression, we got through life with God in our heart. And here this young man gets out there and challenges everybody like he's got an organization behind him. He's speaking for all young people. Now, what do you think about this, Maurice? Well, how does this hit you? Now, this man is about your age.
Yeah, so
he's speaking for you.
He's not speaking for me, that's for sure. What I have to say about this guy is people like him fall in one of two categories. Now, we like to think that this is a new phenomenon, but there have always been people like him, even when Dr. King was around, right? There were people who Dr. King had a movement going. It's very peaceful, nonviolent. And there were people who get paid to come in and agitate, disrupt, throw bricks, do something like that and make it look like it's Dr. King's organization doing it. Or people who are put in place to sow dissension, right? I like to call them sellouts.
Yeah.
If people pay you enough, you will come in there and say what they want. Well, we don't like this momentum that this movement has. Come in here and try to divide the youth a little bit. Say something stupid like no check, no vote. Now, I would like to think that he's that category. But there's another category of person that this guy could fall into, which is just ignorance, general ignorance of the law, ignorance of the voting process, and ignorance overall. Right? Now, I hope that he falls into number one and someone paid him to come up here and say something.
I don't think it's just
dumb. Right? But he could be number two, ignorance. Now, if you knew any better, you would know that no check, no vote is a non-starter, right? To get up there and say no check, no vote just tells everyone, well, you don't understand election laws. Because if you did, you would know that it is illegal to pay someone to vote for you. So if a politician offered you a check to vote for him, he's going to jail. So that's a non-starter. And that just tells everybody, I don't know anything about politics. Ignorant people join me, right? But if you know about politics, then you'd say, okay, whatever. This guy is like, I mean, something has to be wrong here. I hope he's not genuinely that ignorant. and that he just decided to come into National Action Network amongst a lot of people who paved the way for people like him to have rights. The old people that he's talking about, the older generation, when they were here and when they were fighting the fight that you're talking about now and that we're going to have to fight later, they didn't have voting rights. They didn't have civil rights. Right? They came out and they made a way out of no way, right? Bloody Sunday, people had to march across the bridge facing what they didn't know going across there. But they knew even if they can't see the full staircase, they're going to take the next step, because that's what faith is all about. It's about taking the next step when you can't see where the steps will lead you, right? And those steps led them to get our voting rights. Those steps led them to get our civil rights. Those steps led them to get equal employment opportunities for people like him. And many of them are born and they choose not to open books, not to understand what happened in the past and how you got your rights. And they come out here born with these rights and think that, well, I've always had these, so I can just be ambiguous to the process and forget you old people. We don't, not knowing that these old people that you're thumbing your nose at, they're the ones who got you the rights that you thumbing your nose at now. But when Trump takes them back from him and his life starts getting a lot harder, and he has to fight that same fight, and one day turns old after having to go through it, he'll have a different kind of appreciation for the process. So again, two categories. We just got to give people like this time, or we can expect people like this to come along because they're paid agents of disruption.
How many people, young people, do you think we have out there like that?
I think there are a lot, because media has grabbed hold of the thinking of individuals. Anytime that people can think for you, you're in trouble. And our kids are caught up in technology, Facebook, you know, all that stuff, which is designed to absorb you, not to have you think, as Doc would say, we're not thinking analytically or critically. If he got a check, I know he wouldn't know what to do with the check.
Yeah.
All right. There are courses in business school where entrepreneurs are taught, if you want to get a good start, put a business in a black neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because black people do not hold on to their money.
That's right.
Why should our kids be out here? Now, he had on a jersey, that sweatshirt said it had guests on the back. How many of our young people have no self-value? That they have to wear somebody else's name or the brand of a company in order to feel that they have arrived to a certain level. If he got a check, I think he would go out and spend it on promoting somebody else's product. You see, branding is not a business model. It's an ownership identification. You brand cattle, you brand animals. They branded slaves to identify the fact that you own them. And our young black people are branded by Versace, Chanel, and all these companies. And they're walking around promoting those companies. They're not getting a dime. And they're paying exorbitant prices for a product that isn't even worth it. And I'm going to close with this. I spoke with some kids at the school years ago. I said, Nike pays their employees. At that time, back in the 90s, Nike was paying their employees 37 cents an hour. Nike did not have a factory in a developed country. 37 cents an hour. I said, would you work for 37 cents? They said, no. I said, but this is how they're treating brown people. It only cost Nike $16 to make a sneaker at that time. And you're paying $200 and $300 for a sneaker. Nobody was working for Nike in their factories after age 30 because they had cancer from the fumes from the adhesive. Oh, but they're nice, they're fly. I said, you're not listening to what I'm telling you. They're killing off people like you, and you're supporting the financial embellishment of Nike over and against the lives of people that look like you. This is where we are. Our young people can't think. And you said it, Maurice, it was Negroes that got us all the rights that we had. It wasn't black people, it was Negroes. My grandfather never knew how to read or write.
Colored folks.
Never voted a day in his life. He raised 13 children, most of whom went to college. His grandchildren have gone on to higher education, even Harvard University. But Negroes understood what the fight was about. It wasn't about the here and now. It's about who's coming behind you. But this young brother, and as you said, you can't get paid to vote. You can't. Interlopers will always show up. Whatever you're doing, an interloper is going to come, paid or not. So he got his time to speak, and I hope that somebody sat with him to fill him in on the realities of what he's talking about and how nonsensical it was.
You think you can talk to this guy? Oh, no. Yeah, he feels he's fighting a cause. I like to see how many other people agree with him.
Well, you remember you had all the rappers back in Trump? You had 50 Cent, nickel and dime guy.
They're looking for
He
money.
said because Trump had Rico. Snoop Dogg. This young girl here that's trying to keep.
That's Illuminati there.
She's trying to stay in the country because her citizenship is flaky.
Yeah,
she's here on an extended visa. She should have been out of here years ago.
Yeah, we can expect that from that class of person though.
Yeah,
because
but they're talking to our youth.
They're selling out, and they're motivated by self-interest, right?
Yeah.
The tax bracket that Trump policies helps is their tax bracket.
Right.
So you can expect these people who are millionaires and billionaires, and Trump says, okay, I'm going to screw over the rest of society, and I'm going to give only you guys a tax break. I'm going to take food away from hungry mothers and their kids, and I'm going to give my millionaire and billionaire buddies a big tax break at the expense of the general population.
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to be on the stump. They're going to sell out. They're not about anything. They didn't get to where they were by being about anything. The record labels tell them what to say. They come out here. They can't say fight the power. They can't say any of that because the record labels will pull their contract. Instead, they get paid to come out and say the N-word and call people bees and this, that, and the third. That's right.
You couldn't do that You couldn't do that talking about Jewish people. You don't see Jewish people doing that.
The second they do any of that.
But on the backside, all those albums in the early days were produced by Jewish people.
That's right.
You can go back. That's documented fact. All those rappers were being paid by Jews on the West Coast with the gangster rap. But you couldn't call a Jew a name. Oh, you're anti-Semitic. But they promoted it. And this is where we don't think. Our young people have not been taught.
Actually, there's a rapper that said like the N-word hundreds of times or something like that, to the point where certain civil rights leaders reached out to him and was like, why don't you go trying to say something about a different race of people or whatever and see what happens? So he was like, oh, freedom of speech. All right, I could go ahead. So he tried to make an album using the C word, right? And immediately his record label came down on him and, hey, cease and desist. Right. You ain't doing nothing like. And then he went up to them and was like, well, I said the N-word like 50 times in this record. Nobody told me anything. That's your problem. And then he realized right there, well, these civil rights leaders trying to talk sense into me are correct. And he started blogging about it on YouTube and stuff like that. That's how much it hit him. But some of this stuff is planned. Like, it's not stuff that is just like randomly happenstance or something like that we're using these words that are harmful to our community or that certain trends are being pushed on our community. I want to get back to the issue of the check, though, because I think it's very important. I want to talk about that ignorant class of people who think that the government is just going to give you a check, right? Now, I think a lot of that started, too. If you're younger, you don't know anything about the process. You saw the COVID-19 pandemic unfold, but you weren't watching the news. You didn't pay attention to where the fight to get you a check, a stimulus check to help because of all the stuff that was caused by this incompetent president that we have in office right now. Some of them actually didn't realize that it was Nancy Pelosi and Democrats fighting to get you relief in the form of a check. Donald Trump was at the other side of that, fighting to make sure that you don't get a check, even though he's the one who caused all of this. He didn't want to help the populace at all. Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats won that fight. They got a stimulus check for you. Donald Trump, at the last minute, put his name on that stimulus check. Now, if you were not involved in the process at all, right? Some of these little kids who think that they're so smart and so great and they know how politics works, saw a check in the mail and, oh, there's a check for me. It says Donald Trump. Donald Trump got me a check. Now I'm going out there supporting Donald Trump. And you voted for this reprobate not understanding that if he had his way, you would have been in the pandemic with no check and no job and no nothing else, as long as he's doing good, right? So you see him now destroying everything, putting out tariffs, crushing the economy, taking away your student loan forgiveness, taking away everything, doing everything that he can to hurt you. And while his family is becoming billionaires while in office, right? And you're wondering, well, this is the same guy that gave me a check. What happened to the check? No, he's not the same guy that gave you a check. Democrats fought for you to get a check. The people you voted against fought for you to get the check. And you're in this situation now because you didn't do any kind of research on the process. You didn't look into who it is that you're voting for. You were motivated just by money. You saw a name on a check and you ran after it. People don't give you a check unless they have messed up to the point where something is really wrong with the economy, and Congress has to approve that check, right? No one man could just come out and give you a check. So again, the ignorance of no check, no vote, I think that went more viral than anything else in there. I didn't see me on any of these networks. I saw a whole bunch. Roland Martin was covering that kid. Every podcast I could think of was replaying that idiot's clip. No check, no vote. It was on every. I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
And all of it had to do the same talking, like explaining away what he's saying. But I'm like, he shouldn't be getting any attention at all. That we should have cut that clip out. Like, I mean, but I digress.
But see, I had to show it. I had to. You have
not
to
from here. Not from here. I'm talking about at the NAN convention in the first place. But I guess if you cut him off, it would look bad because everybody else was
let freedom of speech.
They'll always promote the negative
and give your complaint.
For that to be the thing from the convention that's getting the most buzz, it's
promote
like
the negative.
This moron took the mic up and decided to say no check, no vote, not even knowing that it's illegal. And that's what every network wants to be pushing on our community. That just tells you a lot about the agendas of something.
Yeah.
See, keep in mind,
it takes somebody like yourself, Maurice, to explain this problem, especially to us old people, because we don't understand the youth and how they really think. And you're right in the middle of all this stuff. This guy picked everybody 35 and below. Right. So that's covering the people that we need to get the vote.
Willie Lynch.
Yeah.
And again, if you understood the voting process, you would know that people up 35 and above are the ones who actually go out and vote in elections.
But do they understand?
35 and below are the least the ones who contribute the least towards who's going to get elected and not going to get elected in society. So the ones that he's thumbing his nose up at, again, are the ones that have put in all the work. You didn't put in any work. You and your age group is out here not unified. You're out here saying dumb stuff to try and stop people from voting. If you say no check, no vote, there has never been a politician who has come along to give you a check for a vote. So what he's basically saying is no vote. That's it. You can just remove the no check. You know you're not getting a check. I mean, come on.
Entitlements, they talk about entitlements. And a lot of young people think they're entitled to something.
Yeah.
And when Eric was running for office years ago, we were in the pink houses, and we're handing out material, and this young fella says, well, is Eric going to get me a job? I said, no, he's not getting you a job. Matter of fact, you need a job? He says, yeah. I said, if you needed a job, why are you standing here in the courtyard in the projects? You're not looking for a job. You don't want a job. You got a welfare mentality, and you think someone is supposed to give you something. Wake up, because nobody owes you anything. You're not entitled to anything if you didn't work for it.
That's right.
Go get on the bus, get on the train. And matter of fact, what can you do?
Yeah, that's
what can you do that somebody should pay you?
Yeah.
All right?
That's
now,
it.
if you're going to do what you've been doing, then your profession is a beggar.
Yeah.
But nobody owes you anything. You got to get up, go somewhere, and seek employment because you have some type of skill. You don't have to go to college to be a PhD or any of that nonsense. I told a group of guys in Bed-Stuy years ago, I said, I'm going to give you some information. There's no charge if you really want to make good money. I said, look down the street. We're in Bed-Stuy. The money is right there in front of you. They said, I don't see nothing. I said, well, let's look at the neighborhood. Think out the box.
Don't.
Every house has wrought iron fencing. I said, what do the fences look like? They're messed up.
No,
there you go.
Graham.
Get some paint, You come together and you can charge $500-600 for one house to paint their ironwork
Graham,
and do the whole block.
you're
You
getting
can't do
old,
all of
man.
Bed-Stuy, but you can make good money during the spring and summer, and you can bank and cool out the rest of the year. But you want to drink beer, smoke cigarettes, smoke reefer, and talk about the white man. The white man ain't doing nothing to you. I never saw a white man take a needle and put it in a black man's arm. But that's what we do to one another.
That's it.
So this matter of entitlement, even when you are qualified, they're not going to respect you.
That's
all right.
it.
So that he should understand that they're not going to respect you because of the color of your skin. That's their illness. That's not your illness. That's their illness. But you've got to be good at something. Martin Luther King said, if you can't be the tree on the top of the hill, be a pine way down in the valley. He said, be the best of whatever you are. And our young folks don't see that. They're not being taught that. Well,
you know, when you don't struggle, like in our day, you couldn't go around talking about you don't have a job. I mean, my father said to me once, he said, I was going to play basketball instead of going to work. He said, you ain't got no time to play. You better go to work. And I was good. I had a hell of a jump shot. He said, you better go to work. And I've had that with me all my life. I have to work. I have to be working. If I don't feel right, I can't just sit around and do nothing. I got to be doing something. But that's how we were raised, with integrity and self-esteem. We were fortunate enough to be blessed in the times that we were in, when black people had to be good and had to be, all the evils were always there. Dope and was crack, all these elements have been against us. But we choose to do that. You choose to think about yourself as a nigger. I mean, how are you calling yourself? You my nigger. I mean, in my day, somebody black called me a nigger, and I was fighting. He got punched in the mouth. A black person called me a nigger, and I punched him in the mouth. You know, I don't understand this, but the way we were raised. But I'm an old timer. I mean, when you had to be good to survive. I mean, look at here. Listen to this. I want to show you something that Reverend Sharpton, and after Trump was elected, he's giving a speech at 145th Street, and play the next item, item 4. This is Reverend Sharpton. What is it called? Healing. Play that item for me.
So as we go in this Thanksgiving season, I want y'all to talk in your family gatherings about how we must have economic discipline.
Yes.
We must come alive in 25 with economic discipline.
Yes.
We must have announced targets to withdraw our money and our votes from people that are not doing business with us. My grandson should not grow up where we are now sitting back going backwards because we didn't know the pressures that was given to us. How did we break it? The last thing, that's why King Day is the day to announce this. The last thing Dr. King, the last book he wrote was called Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos of Community. And a lot of it was on boycotts and laying out what became Operation Breadbasket. So that's going to be the plan, and that's what we're going in that. And let me say this. As we go into this Thanksgiving season, don't let folks spook you out of what you gain from. I hear a lot of people talk about, well, I don't do this when I was growing up. I don't do that because other folks do it. No, we made it as a people by redefining everything they tried to give us negative. We took and made it positive. The strength and beauty of black folks in America, stripped of everything. Never been any slavery in recorded history like we went. Everybody have had slavery, but never stripped down to where we didn't know our names.
Right.
Families sold to different states.
Yes.
They took everything from us.
Yes.
Yet we made it.
Yes.
I keep telling y'all every week, as I would fly back from Africa when I first started going in the early 90s, and I'd look at the Atlantic Ocean, and I'd be thinking about how can I feel guilty about, I hope we don't get turbulence on the plane. Think about what your ancestors went through.
Yes, Lord.
Chained each other in the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes, Lord.
And many of them, Carol Wallace, died. Didn't make it. Millions died in the Middle Passage. Which means that we are the children of the strongest Africans. We are the ones that made it. In our blood is the blood of those that took the torrential rains and took the storm and kept on coming anyhow. We're not going to punk out now. Took our name, broke up our families, took our culture, gave us the worst diet, and we turned it around anyhow. They would eat good on Thanksgiving and tell us to eat the hog's guts. We turned around and turned the chitlins into a cuisine, put some hot sauce on it and kept on going. We've taken nothing and made something happen anyhow. That's why I don't care what happens. We're going to give thanks on Thursday. Yeah, Trump won, but I'm going to thank God anyhow. Yes, it looks dark, but I'm going to thank God anyhow. Because I've been through worse than this. I come up the rough side of the mountain, but there is a God that sits high, but he looks down low. And I made it through 4 years of Trump before. I'll make it through these 4 years if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and turn from the wicked way. Then they will hear from heaven. I will heal the land. I will heal the land. I will heal the land.
That piece came to me when I asked God for something to put on today. I was searching for something which keeps me alive. That's my pastor. I've been with National Action Network for almost 30 years. I joined them in 1996. And I was 50-something. And I've been there all these years. And I tithe every week. And that's a symbol of Christianity. And Reverend Sharpton's in charge of murdered spirits. Murdered spirits linger, and they don't know to go to the light. And Reverend Sharpton comes and gives sermons like this. He goes to all the murdered black spirits that, I mean, we talk to a murdered spirit, Jesus. That's a murdered spirit. We talked to Martin Luther King. And you know I talked to Martin Luther King because he was the Christian that I want to be. And Reverend Sharpton is a disciple of Martin Luther King. We're all disciples of this Christ-like figure that had faith in us as a people. And like Reverend Sharpton says, we've been through 400 years of this crap. There's no time to quit. I mean, It looks tough, but we got young people like you, Maurice, there showing the way. And thank God for you, Maurice. I really appreciate you. I've seen you grow and you coming to NAN, and you're a lawyer now. And I just want to thank you for being you. And you inspire me, and I just want to say that to you, brother.
Mr. Gilchrist,
You
happy
know,
birthday, and thank you very much. You act as a mentor to people like me. You don't even realize how much influence you have, and like how much you teach us without even trying. I mean, I learned a lot from you this little time that I've been in NAN. I've watched NAN and everything on TV all the time or on
yeah.
YouTube after the rallies. But I mean, meeting you in person and giving a platform to people like us in the community is, I mean, it's invaluable. And I mean, you're one of the pillars of our community, just like Reverend Al Sharpton is. So thank you.
I feel
Happy
great.
birthday, Winston. Long time.
Yeah, 85, man. It's a blessing that I'm here, and I want to play Jesse. Jesse didn't quite get to 85. I don't know if we have enough time. Oh yeah, we have time. Play Jesse was my brother. I'm 6 months older than Jesse. Jesse will have been 85 in October 19th, I think. But here, play item 3. And this is Wall Street. This is another powerful moment for us as a people and as NAN, the NAN family.
Of reference. 400 years later, it's time to do some assessing where we came from. While Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina, and Mississippi take the hits, the real trade market for commerce and cotton was New York. The port of New York. As a matter of fact, Joe, the first state to end slavery was Vermont. It was all up the coast. The big shipbuilders became rich off of our enslavement. Say our people are not slaves, they are our ancestors. They make you slaves of the person, they're our ancestors, they're our foreparents. The money is made off of the commodity. We were the commodity in the commodity exchange. And they would import Africans. They export cotton and tobacco. And they built the whole economic system around Wall Street. Africans, because they feared the Indians would attack the Dutch, built a wall on Wall Street. That's what they named it, Wall Street. It's the Africans, the logs and trees, they built a wall around Wall Street, keep the Indians from attacking the Dutch. So Wall Street was named after us. There's a burial ground on Wall Street, which we should all visit. Those are our foreparents. At some point, they moved us to the other end of Manhattan, which is Harlem. So we are on the same island as Manhattan. Manhattan, Harlem, Wall Street, on the same island. Harlem is right down the road from Wall Street. That's interesting that most of our leaders, who all get different cases, never quite got to march on Wall Street.
That was Reverend Jesse Jackson speaking at National Action Network's House of Justice in 2020, saying that we'd ignored dramatizing, putting the spotlight on the economic inequalities, the economic issues of this country by never having marched on Wall Street en masse. Well, on August 28th, 5 years later, we're gonna do just that. Because with this big, beautiful bill, which is a big, ugly bill that cuts Medicaid and SNAP, with the ending of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and initiatives in the private sector, which gives blacks and others jobs, contracts for businesses, making sure we make the C-suite based on our merit and not excluded because we didn't have the family background in a given place, whether it be academic or business. The people that benefited from that are the ones on Wall Street that deal with the stock markets, that deal with the Dow Jones, that deal with making trade off of the decisions of those that supported the Trump initiatives in this area. So we are not this year going to Washington on the anniversary of the March on Washington. On the anniversary of the March on Washington, we're going to Wall Street. And Reverend Jackson, we're going to do what you said. Thousands of us are going to non-violently but firmly come and say that the dream cannot be deferred by tax cuts for the rich and cutting those out that need food assistance, that need support with health care and other economic policies that have choked the middle class and the poor. August 28, 2025, go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, get the details. Meet us 10 a.m. at the African Burial Ground and be ready to march. Buses are coming from all over the country. Go to that website or call 1-877-626-4651. No justice, no peace.
I pay homage to Jesse because, I mean, he fought a good fight, man. Running for president twice, and I was 6 months ahead of him. So I enjoyed and benefited from all his efforts. You know, him and Muhammad Ali was 10 months younger. I mean, all these giants were in my era. And I mean, they were my brothers. And I always felt that I had to do a little something. And I feel like I haven't done enough. You know, but I feel, I don't know why I get so emotional, but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be alive. I'm glad to be, there's so many good people that have passed, man. And
you have done a remarkable work over the years that I've known. You and Gil Noble.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Minister Brown.
Oh.
What you have given our people, they couldn't have gotten in college or somewhere else. The three of you brought so much. Dr. Jeffries, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark. I was in the Gambia in West Africa about 22 years ago. And I'm walking through the hotel and a guy called me by my name. I'm 5,000 miles from home. Who is this guy? But he knew who I was. You know why? Because he watches the show. He's in Africa. He said, I know who you are. And I was shocked. You know, it's when my boys were growing up, I told them to admire people, not athletes and not entertainers. You know, they got to go to Rosa Parks' 70th birthday at the Schomburg. I said, this is a woman that you look up to. People like this, you know, people that are pouring into our people. I had dinner. I was blessed. Didn't know it was going to happen. I was blessed to have dinner with Jesse Jackson and James Cleveland in Chicago in 1975. We're sitting down having dinner with a group of guys. Years later, I become a police officer. Who am I guarding? I'm a bodyguard for David Dinkins and Jesse Jackson at the West Indian Day Parade. Jesse runs for president. I wind up working with the Secret Service guarding Jesse uptown on 59th Street by Central Park. And there was a guy looking at him, pacing back and forth. I was watching this guy, and he made a move to come to Jesse. I dropped him. Secret Service agent said, you saw him? Of course I saw him. You think I'm here just to be gawking at Jesse? We're here to protect him. But Jesse, Martin, you know, there were so many even unknown people.
Yeah.
You know, I think of my grandfather who, with my father and my uncles and other men in Cairo, Georgia, gunned down the Klan in the 1930s. And the Klan never came back in Cairo, never. Sharecroppers.
Mm-hmm.
My father said they used to pick peaches from can't see in the morning till can't see at night.
Yeah.
But you know, our young people need to know that our history is not slavery. That's a microcosm of the history of this planet. They don't know that Germany was run by a black queen. They don't know that Russia was run by black royalty. They don't know that Scotland wears a Scottish kilt because of the Egyptians who settled that place that is named after Skoda, the daughter of Akhenaten and Nefertiti, 1,500 years before Jesus was born.
Yeah.
They don't know that King James was a black man.
Yeah.
These white people walking around with a King James Bible, if they knew King James was black, they would probably burn it. There's so much, and you have been contributing to the historical record keeping.
I want, as a young person, I think it's important for me to chime in here, because what I'm seeing from you guys is that you guys are basically pillars of the community without even realizing it. You have adhered to the historical landmarks all throughout your era. There have been pillars of your community that guided you, whether it's your parents who didn't have the right to go to school and taught you how important it is to seek out education. And I mean, caused you to grow up with a chip on your shoulder that made you fight even harder to gain the rights that you have and to preserve the rights that you have and to recognize the importance of that, right? As someone who's from a younger generation, I come on the heels of people like you. So, I mean, I was fortunate enough to grow up with access to people like that. But when we're getting now down to a generation of people who were spawned by people like me, who may not necessarily have the same tether and the same connection to the community and understand how we got to where we are. It was always on the backs of each other. We always understood what the movement was about. We understood the importance of preserving things. We understood the importance of persevering. But don't forget, for every win that we won, there was a group of white supremacists fighting to get back what they had and fighting to plan and fighting to undermine everything that we had. This Project 2025 thing that we're seeing played out now, this didn't just happen. They didn't just pop out with a 900-page manifesto out of nowhere. No, all the white supremacists have been scheming for this all along. And one of the ways that they're planning on being effective right now is that they've analyzed our community, and they know that the historical landmarks and people like you and Mr. Graham and Reverend Al and everybody else like that who never let any of the young kids forget, those are one of the things that they need to target. And they are targeting it, except they're doing it in clever and convenient ways now. Younger people don't consume their media in the same ways that people from your generation did and people from my generation did and stuff like that. They're not picking up a newspaper and reading everything page to page. They are not watching the news on TV. They are consuming their stuff from social media. They're going on YouTube and they're going on Facebook and they're going on Instagram and TikTok, and the news that they see in their feed, that becomes what their version of like reality is, right? Except the problem is that there are algorithms that are not designed necessarily to give them the accurate feed and like to link them back to the historical landmark. The algorithms are designed to keep them interested. So if they click on something that some rapper saying the N-word all day, they're going to keep getting feeds where people just saying the N-word. They've seen a clip of Barack Obama, so they say, oh, okay, well, a black man was president before, so I don't care. It's not that important. Nobody's taking anything away from me. And they think it's just the right because they're detached from the movement that got us what it is that we had, right? And then there's another effort by Republicans and racists in office right now to take certain things out of the curriculum so that you also don't get it when you go to school. Anything with the word black in it or anything that makes white people feel uncomfortable, they want to remove it. Civil rights movement and everything like that, they're going to reduce that to a sentence or a paragraph and then move on to something. Yes, there was a civil rights movement. Yes, there was a Bloody Sunday, but people got past it and got their civil rights, and that's the end of the story. But we have to read chapters about their history and everything that they've done, right? No, we cannot let them do things like that. In Florida, they're banning books. They don't want you to learn about any of the evil stuff that their ancestors did, so that when they're doing it now, you think, oh, this is the first time that they've done anything like this. This authoritarianism must be new. everything that Trump is doing right now is straight out of Hitler's playbook and all
That's
these
it. That's
racists
it.
that have
That's
tried
it.
before, right? But if they can remove you from the historical landmarks and from people like Reverend Al Sharpton, and they can not let you know what John Lewis and everybody else had to endure sitting in lunch counters and having evil racists dump things on their head and put jars of marbles in front of them and just beat them to try and restrict them from voting, they will never understand how important it is to fight for those rights because they'll think, well, we're entitled to these rights. They just happened.
Yeah.
Our people didn't do anything, and we have to fight against that. We have to say, no, you can't just take our history out of the school curriculum. No, these algorithms can't just keep directing our kids to harmful material, right? And keeping them away from things that matter. We have to make our history a priority, and we need to push it towards the young people, like how they did back in the day. If they're not going to consume it regularly, then we have to get a platform where they can see it for themselves. And I think those are some ideas I have, but that's one of the main problems with keeping Black people connected to the movement. Because when somebody like this, who could come out here at the National Action Rally and National Action Network rally and say no check, no vote, and that's all over the place. But everything else that they said at the rally is not being consumed by the young people. It's a problem.
With that, we have to say, we have to do a part 2. With that, I say, the God in me loves the God in you, and stay tuned for more of the Gilchrist Experience.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Peace.
Happy birthday.
God bless.
God bless you too.
Thank you. Oh, man.